Good morning, everyone. I am Jezabel Sally from BS Ed 2A. Let's tackle my insight and reflection about the various work of the famous writer and philosophers. And these are the Introduction to New Zealand and Australia, Her First Ball, a short story by Catherine Mansfield, Summer Anniversary, a short story by Chad Adlard, Across the Street, a narrative essay by Henry Lawson, and Introduction to North and Latin America. Marshall McLuhan, a biography, A Rose for Emily, a short story by William Faulkner, and A Friendship, an essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and The Tiny Feet, a poem by Gabriel Mistral, A Kiss of the Spider-Woman, excerpt from a play by Manuel Puig. The introduction of New Zealand and Australia. The New Zealand and Australia are both inhabited of colonism. Sinasabing ang katutubo ay lumipas sa Australia sa Southeast Asia. Makalipas ang 4,000 taon, ginawang tahanan ng Australia at inangkop sa pisikal na heograpiya ng kontinente. For 10,000 years before the European arrived, the Aborigines carved out the existence in Australia and developed their cultural ways. Then the New Zealand was inhabited by the Polynesian group called Maori, who established themselves on the island in 10th century. In 1901, the various territories and states of Australia came together under the federation called Commonwealth of Australia. Australia recent years separate from the British Crown and they created a government. Then the New Zealand was made headlines as the first country in the world granting all women have right to vote. My insight, the New Zealand and Australia has a unique animals and organisms that are not found in anywhere else to develop in their two countries. The unique biodiversity include marsupials such as kangaroos, wallabies, and bodycoats. It is believed these creatures developed separately after continents broke away from each other more 200 million years ago. The two countries named Australia and New Zealand have such beautiful scenery. Some people or countries are envious of it. They both experience the apprehension of conquerors, same event like they both conquered by the colonialism both suffer at its hand, one of which is Aborigines in Australia and Maori in New Zealand. Dahil sa pananakop ng mga European, ito ay nagdulot ng pagkawala ng lupain, pagkakaroon ng sakit na pumapatay sa maraming tao, at kinokontrol sila sa paraan na gusto nilang pamumuhay. Ang Maori ay nag-aklas laban sa mga British at natalo ang mga Maori. Ang mga tao sa Australia at New Zealand ay naging malaya sa pananakop at tumatag sila ng kanilang gobyerno at ang New Zealand ay nagbibigay karapatan sa mga kababaihan na bumoto. The second one is Her First Ball, a short story by Catherine Mansfield. The story begins with recalling the night of a girl in a ball. The girl named Layla and she was courted by her cousin named Meg, Laurie, Laura, Jose Sheridan. Layla has just come from the country to attend her first ball. Filled with feverish excitement is tempered by touch of apprehension and deference. She is accurately aware of what is happening around and eagerly takes it all in. Everything is brutal and superfluous, and Layla is in danger of believing this is reality. The old man's arrival is time of perfection. His role is to inject a touch of realism into Layla and remove the rose-tinted spectacles through which she views life. But that moment of unease passes and all is well in Layla's world. My insight, the story begins she is on the way to her first ball with her cousin Laurie, Laura, Meg, and Jose Sheridan. Sa una, ang kawalang muwang ni Layla ay ang kanyang pinakabuluhang katangian. Dahil hindi pa nakapunta si Layla sa isang ball, ninanamnam niya ang bawat detalye at kahit mga tissue paper, bagong guwantes ay nasisiyahan siya, pati na rin sa mga ilaw, dekorasyon at musika. But this initial impression of the ball are overly positive. She believes every dance partner excited to meet her, for instance, and everyone is having fun despite clear evidence to the contrary. Her experience means what's really going on after she met and danced with an old man. However, everything changes. The old man explained that Layla will soon grow old, which means she won't able to dance at the ball anymore, and she won't able to desirable to men. Layla is devastated, feeling like ball isn't the beginning of something marvelous, but rather beginning of the end. The next one is the summer anniversary, a short story by Chad Adlard. Chad Adlard was a prize winner in Advertiser. He was written many short stories, poems, tributes, eulogies, magazine articles, and two full-length novels. Adler's story reflects his love for Australia and his people. The story begins with a man experiencing nightmares and visions of his deceased wife. The nightmare recounts the day when a train had taken the life of his wife. Nagising siyang sumisigaw at umiiyak, at ilang minuto pa ang lumilipas bago mapagtanto sa sarili na wala na ang kanyang asawa. At saka lang ito maging kalmado dahil sa trahedyang naganap at nasaksihan niya ay nagpakabisi siya upang mawala ang sakit na kanyang nararamdaman. At lumabas siya sa Mercedes Benz upang magliwaliw sa labas. At habang nasa sasakyan siya ay nakikinig siya sa musika at nag-enjoy siya rito at naalala niya ang anniversary pala ng kanyang asawa. Pagkatapos ng trahedyang iyon ay hindi na kinalimutan ng asawa bagkos inaalala pa rin niya ang kagandahan ng kanyang asawa. My insight from the story, it can be inferred that man was wealthy. With that being said, it is that no man is exempted from losing someone precious. We constantly thirst for love. This need is to be satiated by being with those we hold clear the loss of loved ones. One of most tragic events that can happen in one's life, and that coping with such is real struggle for both mentally and emotionally. It is important that those who are go through such stage in life need to have companions and family aid them to overcoming the loss. There are better ways to handle life than to end it. People need to stand up despite of all the painful and struggles. The next one is Across the Strait, a narrative essay by Henry Lawson. Born in June 17, 1867 at Greenfield, Australia. He was died at September 2, 1922 of Abbotsford, Australia. The family adopted the name Lawson when Henry birth was registered. Henry suffering severe loss of hearing as a child. He had a little education beyond what gained from reading. His many stories typify the nationalist period of Australian literature. The Across the Strait is based on the experience of Lawson. He was across the cities. You can go across for £1 and get something to eat on the road. But traveling public will go on, patronizing the latest producer and fares until the poorer company gets starved out, fares go up again. Then the traveling public will have to pay 3 or 4 times as much as they do now. And the hungry on the voyage, all which owe to the proof that traveling public is big full of general public. Next is the introduction to North and Latin America. Latin America and North America are located right next to each other. Latin America being just south of North America. Latin America is made up of 6 subregions, and it is Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean Basin, the Northern Andes, Brazil, Southern America. Whereas the North America is made of 2 countries, which is Canada and United States. Due to close they are, there are some similarities but don't fold these two two regions are very different. Latin America has a very wide range of population. The majority of their population are big cities. Countries like Mexico and Brazil are population giant. Compared to countries in the Caribbean basin, fewer than 100,000 people, Latin America is a lot of more cultural diverse like literature, art, music, and dance are big factor in their cultures. Latin America is full of different ethnic groups, while North America both share Christianity and top of the list, and dominantly white with a small majority of African, American, Asian, Native American, and other European origin. Next is the biography of Marshall McLuhan. Herbert Marshall McLuhan was a Canadian philosopher whose work among the cornerstone of the study of media theory. He was studied at University of Manitoba and the University of Cambridge. He was born on July 21, 1911 at Edmonton, Canada. He was died on December 31, 1980 at Toronto, Canada. McLuhan coined expression the medium it is message in the first chapter in the Understanding Media. The extension of man and the term global village he predicted the World Wide Web almost 30 years before it was invented. He was a fixture in media discourse in the late 1960s. Through his influence began to wear in the early 1970s. In years following his death, he continued to be a controversial figure in academic circles. However, with the arrival of the internet and the World Wide Web, interest was renewed in his work and perspective. The next one is the friendship, an essay by Ralph Waldo. This friendship is a theory of friendship because it has deep and constant relationship, which is very true. Because I believe that friendship is based on mutual respect and an understanding, and characterized by a deep and genuine affection between individuals. Having a friend is a kind of indulging in one's affection, dahil hindi naman pwedeng kakaibiganin mo ang isang tao pero hindi mo ito pagkakatiwalaan. Kasi kung gusto mo siyang maging kaibigan ay kikilitisin mo muna ito bago makabuo ng tunay na pagkakaibigan. Sa pamamagitan nito, makakabuo kayo ng pagtitiwala at paggalang sa isa't isa. And I believe that each friend should be a role model or ideal thought behavior for the others. The next one is Tiny Feet, a poem by Gabriela Mistral. In the poem Little Feet in 1945 by Gabriela Mistral, we see how children walking barefoot without anyone noticing them. The mentioning of cold and snow make it appear to be winter, snowy, and the time of the year. A poem talks about children in poverty who are being ignored by the society. The theme of the alienation can be seen throughout the poem. The poverty-stricken children who are suffering just because they are poor. And the better truth is nobody cares to help them or provide them with the basic necessities of life. The title of poem Tiny Feet itself gives the reader the idea about children's there might be something related to the feet of the children. The poem has no set meter and it is written by free verse overall and there are no such rhymes. Tiny Feet telling about the children suffering the cold weather because having no shoes due to poverty and no one is ready to help them. Next is The Kiss of the Spider Woman, excerpt from a play by Manuel Puig. Ang nobelang Kiss of the Spider ni Puig ay sinulat na hindi pangkaraniwang estilo. Sa halip, itinampok ang isang tagapagsalaysay sa kwento ay naganap halos eksklusibo sa anyo ng dialogo sa pagitan ng tauhan. The book is largely about the political situation. Valentina and Molina seem to be total opposites. They have own ways of fighting back against system. Valentina takes part in revolutionary activity, but he is still rigid in his understanding of gender roles and sexuality. Molina, on the other hand, he has no interest in politics, but does he push back against expected norms of genders and sexuality, and a great personal cost? Both character ultimately come to understand one another and develop a sense of solidarity and love that allows them to see themselves as allies against the common enemy. The last one is A Rose for Emily, a short story by William Faulkner. A Rose for Emily is a short story by William Faulkner, originally published in Forum in 1930. A story concerned two unmarried women living in South America who attracted the concerned suspension of townspeople after her father dies, and she becomes romantically involved with Yankee man from the north. Emily Grenson, a recluse living alone with a black servant in large house in town. After her father's death, Emily was sick for a long while, and when she was seen again, he had to cut her hair short to make her look a girl. Then she met Baron, who was a construction worker and Yankee. She fall in love with him. Then Emily wanted to marry Baron. She discovered Homer, the man always worried to Emily. One day, Emily made a decision to buy poison in the pharmacy. After that day, Homer never saw again. Then, many years passed, Emily died. The neighbor, curious about the room lock. Then they decide to open the room. The room opened after 40 years. Then they discovered the body of Baron laying on the bed. And that's all. Thank you.